Hello, and welcome to our lesson on Agile and Hybrid Project Management. In this segment, we will continue discussing Agile principles. An Agile approach, using Scrum, is suitable for teams with a size of 3 to 10 people. If larger teams or an entire company want to work agilely, an approach like Scrum is not sufficient. The two best-known approaches to scaling agility are Scaled Agile Framework and Large-Scale Scrum. They both provide approaches for agile working and synchronization across multiple teams. Both approaches are based on teams working according to Scrum or a Scrum-adapted approach. In Scaled Agile Framework, several teams are grouped into an agile release train. Quarterly planning takes place, and the next product increment, and the work for the next 3 months is organized. The implementation takes place in sprints during the next 3 months. At a higher level, a program backlog is kept, and each team also keeps its own backlog. There is a product owner for each team and also a product manager who divides up the work of the product owner. The large-scale Scrum framework is closer to the Scrum method. It divides events such as planning, review, and retrospective into a general part for all teams and an individual part for each team. Scaled Agile Framework and large-scale Scrum are efficient approaches to scaling agility across the whole organization. They are oriented towards Scrum and lean management. Part of the autonomy and self-organization in the teams is given up in favor of a common orientation. The traditional approach adopted the following stages of processing. It starts with the idea, development, implementation planning, and the realization of a solution, which is divided into individual work packages, and these in turn into phases that can then be logically and temporally separated from each other. The purpose of this is to split the development of a solution as a whole into manageable stages. This enables a graduated planning, decision-making, and concretization process with predefined milestones or correction points. The number of project phases and also the formalism with which they are handled depend considerably on the type, scope, risk, and importance of a project, and also on the influence the project owner wants to have. Smaller projects can be seen through with a smaller number of phases and less formalism. The representation as a block diagram or as a waterfall model and the designation of the phases are influenced by the industry, the task, and the terms used in the company. The project commissioning phase. This phase, which is usually rather unstructured, comprises the period between the recognition of the problem and the decision to do something concrete. The need for redesigning or reorganizing is received, accepted, and approved in a project agreement by those authorized to allocate the necessary human, financial, and organizational resources. The preliminary work and activities of the definition phase ideally result in a project fact sheet. The project fact sheet contains information on the strategic reference and the expected added value, an initial rough schedule, and the expected costs. It names the central project roles and, together with the business case, serves as a basis for deciding whether the project should be approved and included in the project portfolio. In the initialization phase, statements on feasibility, risks, and stakeholders are being developed. Essential bases for this are the analysis of the current situation, as well as clearly agreed-upon objectives, and the formulation of requirements for the outcome of the project. In this phase, the project order is written. This sets out the objectives and the framework conditions for the project. The following thematic blocks are worked out and fixed in the assignment. Elaborate requirements. What should be realized? Determine project organization. Identify and analyze stakeholders. Identify risks and develop measures to reduce them. Structure and roughly plan the project. The project owner is responsible for transforming the proposal into a project order. From a tactical point of view, the project owner often delegates the preparation of the project proposal to the project manager, who conducts the kickoff at the end of the phase. If one decides to abandon the project at the end of the initialization phase, this is neither a mistake nor some kind of failure, but rather a conscious decision based on newly attained knowledge. The purpose of the concept phase is to develop solution variants. In this phase, the the planned achievement of objectives, functionality, expediency, and economic efficiency is to be assessed in a well-founded manner. Attention is focused on the elaboration of possible solution variants. The result of the concept phase is to come to a decision about which solution variant to go with. Plans are then drawn up for the variant selected, ready for implementation, and solution concepts are developed that describe how the requirements are to be set up. The next step is to plan the chosen solution in detail. In the realization phase, the plans from the concept phase are put into practice. Typical work steps of the realization phase are: manufacture plants and equipment, create software, create user-friendly documentation or operating instructions, establish organizational arrangements in the event of disruptions, determine support, organization, and maintenance concepts, perform tests. Often, individual subsystems are also built here, which are integrated into the overall solution. Comprehensive project controlling helps ensure that the targeted objectives are achieved. Any change requests are managed via the change request process and therein taken to the decision-making stage. Introduction. Only relatively small and simple solutions can be introduced as a whole without taking a great risk by keeping them in one piece. With large and complex systems, an abrupt introduction of a change does not make sense because of the large number of incalculable side effects and dependencies. It is therefore advisable to proceed in stages. With the overall concept in sight, further steps are taken based on the first experiences made with the introduction. Handover. The success of a system introduction largely depends on the way and extent to which the knowledge transfer takes hold. This means whether it is possible to train and inform the system administrators and the users comprehensively and with adequate quickness. The goal is to make the development and implementation teams superfluous as quickly as possible. Closing. Every project finally comes to an end. Even aborted projects need closure, and that too is work. If project closure is not done consciously, no one knows whether the project is finished or not. The following work is to be carried out for project completion. Complete project work. Clearly assign and schedule possible remaining work, or postpone it to a future release. Elaborate final account. Complete project documentation and ensure archiving. Hand over tasks, competencies, and responsibilities to the users or an operating organization. Submit project documents of the operational or maintenance organization. Project closure, with the project owner to hand over the project, and with the project team to dissolve the team. In both systems, it can be useful to hold a critical project review, on the one hand, to let go of the project, but above all, because recognized mistakes are a great learning opportunity in the sense of the learning organization. Possible questions to ask might be: what went well? Where did problems occur? Could the planned efforts, personnel, costs, time, be kept within predicted limits? What might be done better in the future? When the project is completed, the utilization phase begins. After a predefined period of time, an evaluation or control of the project outcome takes place. Depending on the type of project, work is recorded under warranty or for an improved version of the solution in a new release. Usually, an effectiveness review or project evaluation is carried out here. This is the end of this segment of our lesson. In the next segment, we shall discuss Agile methodology. This course is presented to you by South Europe College. Thank you for listening and see you on our next segment.